So on to Chelsea, and I actually think their problem's quite strange considering how much money they've spent. You would expect them to have loads of quality depth, but I actually look around at the squad and I go, there's not a lot of depth there, and where there is, they're often quite injury-prone players. One of these examples is the midfield. So you've got Enzo Fernandez, you've got Caicedo, and then you've got Lavia and Santos. So you consider that pretty good, but Lavia is almost always injured. Enzo Fernandez is currently injured. We'll see how long he is out for. It looks like a couple of weeks. Caicedo and Santos are good players, but it's not like that world-class depth which you'd expect from all the money they've spent and how many competitions they're going to have to be in for the rest of the season. Because they're going to be in the Premier League, they're going to be in the Champions League, they're going to be potentially in the League Cup that you'd expect them to go for against Cardiff. So that will be another 2 games after that as well. FA Cup, you'd expect them to go reasonably far on that. So I think this could be quite costly. If you look at that midfield, once again, you're bringing in players like Reece James or Gusto into that midfield. That's taking away from the right-back depth. Centre halves, Fofana is very injury-prone. I don't think there's much quality without Levi Colwill there. So I just think overall they're just lacking some quality depth. Left-hand wing, I think Garnacho's actually impressed me more than I was expecting. But then the backup to him is Byron Gittins, who I don't really rate as a player. I think striker depth, you've got Pedro and Delap, but whenever João Pedro is forced to play up front, they don't look like the same side. So it is just really strange how they can be in such, I guess, a puzzle, I think, in terms of, I don't think Enzo Maresca can continuously get out a similar sides. He has lots of injury-prone players, as I was saying, as well as someone like a Reece James. So I think this is actually more of an issue for Chelsea than people will consider. I think that their first 11 is actually really good. I think when you bring Cole Palmer back into that side, you have a midfield of Enzo, Caicedo, Palmer, you have Lavia when he's fit. But the problem with this is that I feel like the first 11 is never always fit. And this means that you're forced to go to your bench where you're often calling on inexperienced players that you've spent a lot of money on. So you're sort of forced to play them. But they're not actually good enough yet. And they're more players for the future. And this comes back to sort of the Chelsea strategy, which I know, look, they've won a Club World Cup. They're starting to progress in the right direction, you could argue. But I still don't think it's been successful. You've still spent £2 billion, sold some quality players. And actually, I think another issue currently with Chelsea, which we will continue to see for a while, is losing the identity of the club because of selling all these Cobham players. But I think the overall issue is going into the end of the season, you'll start to see that lack of depth become more of a problem when you're in so many competitions. And I think it will force Chelsea to prioritise the Premier League or the Champions League or maybe a cup as well. And that will be about it. Because what they did last time is they just rested for the Europa Conference League and then used the first team in the Premier League. You won't be able to do this in the Champions League. And when the fixtures are even more frequently, when players are starting to sort of tire at the end of the season, we're going to see this be a real problem for Chelsea. And I think that, and I'm going to put this in a big problem.